So, what if we started to pay attention? What if we started to notice, like, oh, what are my thoughts? What's coming up for me? And what that takes is building self awareness. Now, my favorite way to build self awareness, and this is going to be unpopular too, is mindfulness. Hi, I'm Jen Barnes, and you're about to experience how to ditch the old ways of doing things, embrace your neurodivergence, learn tips and tricks to function optimally, and love yourself, neurodivergence and all. Welcome to the Self-Loved Woman podcast. Hey, it's Jen. I'm so excited you're here. Today, we're going to talk about the big secret that nobody talks about for getting stuff done with ADHD. So maybe you've been struggling to get yourself to do stuff, and perhaps you've tried all the tips and tools and nothing seems to work. Maybe even things me and other creators have suggested, perhaps things your therapist has said if you have one, and you're just like, I can't do this. Maybe you've even started to wonder if something's wrong with you. Maybe shaming yourself. The thing is, it's not you, because you can do all the tips and tricks in the world. You can go to all the therapy you want, although as a therapist, this is a big statement for me. But until you do this one thing, it's still going to be really hard to get yourself to do stuff. You might be thinking, what is it, Jen? Tell me already. So here's the deal. It's going to be wildly unpopular. And the reason is because it takes work. Things that actually work well tend to take more effort than the things that don't. Not always. Hard work doesn't always guarantee success. But I'm talking about inner work, because the big secret is we have to address our limiting beliefs. As women with ADHD, many of us undiagnosed until adulthood, or maybe self-diagnosed even now, perhaps having masked our entire youth, we took on so many of the comments and criticisms that other people made about us inside of our ADHD. And so those became these limiting beliefs. So what is a belief? What is a limiting belief? A belief is a perception or thought that you believe is true. And a lot of times, our beliefs are so deeply entwined in our being that we don't even notice that they're beliefs. We just think it's the truth. And there are some things that are true. Like, for example, with ADHD, we legitimately have executive functioning challenges that come by our brain naturally. That doesn't mean, however, that we can't get ourselves to do stuff. We just have to do it differently. We have to be creative. And I do want to mention, when we talk about getting ourselves to do stuff, yes, productivity is not the only way we're valued in the world. And there certainly is patriarchal pieces to needing to be productive at all times. But here's the thing. I don't know about you, but as a single woman by choice, I have to work. I have to work in order to support myself. And that means I have to find ways to be productive inside of ADHD. And we can talk all day about if it wasn't for the patriarchy and this neurotypical society, we wouldn't have to be so productive and figure this out. Hey, I get it. And that might be true. And the reality is that's the world we live in right now. And so it's okay to not like that or agree with it. I'm not suggesting you're like, oh, this is fabulous. I love having to find ways to be productive in the society the way it is. I'm not expecting that at all. And in order to help ourselves, we have to radically accept this is the reality. And then once we do that, we have the energy to focus on how to fix it. All right. So stepping back to those limiting beliefs, right? A belief is a thought that you believe is true, or an idea. And you've come to believe it, like I said, honestly, right? Like maybe you've come to believe that you can't do things. Like I can't run a business, or I can't do a podcast, or I can't, I don't know what else, but all kinds of stuff. I can't focus. That's a big one I hear. And it might be more challenging for you to focus if you did it the exact same way that someone who doesn't have ADHD did. But it reminds me of that saying that some attribute to Einstein, although recently I've seen that's not what he said. But anyway, it's the idea that even a fish will think he's stupid if you ask him to climb a tree, right? Because our brains function a certain way, and we aren't birds or, I don't know, squirrels maybe who climb trees. Squirrels climb trees, birds land on them. But we're not going to be able to get to the top of a tree if we're a fish. Just like we're not going to be able to use typical strategies for getting stuff done that people who don't have ADHD do and have it not take longer most of the time. Sometimes you can. I don't want to add another limiting belief. Like maybe you're like, no, Jen, I got no problem with this. I got no problem getting stuff done. And the thing is, we've got to understand what our limiting beliefs are so we can start to question them. So the first step in that is even noticing that we have a belief. And I got to tell you, that's the trickiest because these beliefs are sneaky because, well, we've come to believe they're true. So they look like fact to us, but they are things that are keeping us stuck. So what if we started to pay attention? What if we started to notice like, oh, what are my thoughts? What's coming up for me? And what that takes is building self-awareness. Now, my favorite way to build self-awareness, and this is going to be unpopular too, is mindfulness. Stay with me because here's the deal. Everyone talks about mindfulness practice, and I got to tell you, most people get it wrong. Not like John Kabat-Zinn. He obviously, I'm not talking about the big name people, but when people hear mindfulness or meditation, they're like, I can't quiet my thoughts. Oh my gosh, my thoughts will overwhelm me and all this kind of stuff. But here's the deal. You couldn't quiet your thoughts even if you tried. The human brain is meant to think. That's what it does. It's thinking when we are asleep. It's thinking when we have surgery. It's thinking when people are in a coma. And so our brains think. That's what they do. So when we're practicing mindfulness or meditation that's outside of mindfulness meditation, we're not trying to quiet the brain. What I would recommend we do if we're wanting to increase our awareness is we decide to focus on one thing during our mindfulness practice or our meditation practice. You could do something like mindful dishwashing or mindful toothbrushing, or you could sit on a meditation cushion and do mindful awareness of your breath. But whatever it is, what we want to try and do is notice what's going on in the present. Notice the soap on your hands and the water and the clinking of the dishes and glasses and stuff. Or notice the flavor of the toothpaste and each and every tooth that you're brushing. Notice your breath moving in and out of your body, perhaps noticing your belly and chest move as you do it. Whatever it is, you want to notice that. But here's the thing. You aren't going to be able to stay focused on it. Because your brain is going to think. That's what it does. It's really, unless you're like the Dalai Lama or something, or you've been practicing meditation for years and years, and even then, your brain is going to think. And so the whole thing is we want to notice, oh, I've been thinking, instead of focusing on what I intended to focus on. So I'm just going to shift my attention back because the practice of mindfulness helps you build attention because of getting distracted and bringing your attention back, not in spite of it. In fact, if you could just sit and meditate for 20 minutes and not have a single distraction, which, oh my gosh, if you can do that, that's amazing. But if you're able to do that, then 20 minutes, that 20 minutes is not about you improving your ability to focus. You're just practicing what you can already do. As we stumble, so to speak, as we get distracted, the practice of noticing and bringing ourselves back is what increases our awareness. Another thing is my favorite, the present moment check-in. And I like this because we can dip in and just do it even like at a stoplight because you're not really getting anything else done at a stoplight. You might think you can check your phone, but that just leads to chaos because you're going to notice you have an email or a text, open it, and then you'll forget you have it, right? Am I alone? It happens. And when you're at a stoplight or some other natural pause, like waiting in line at Caribou Coffee or the grocery store, or I don't know, wherever you wait in line, you can do this real quick. So all you do is take a couple of breaths, notice them, then notice your body sensations. Just notice them like, oh, okay, I notice I have hair on my face right now, which I actually moved it. You don't have to do that. You might notice I have an itch on my left foot. Right? I'm just going to notice that. So you might notice different sensations in your body. Just notice. Then you can notice your emotions. You might notice like, oh, I'm feeling impatient as I wait in this line. Or, oh, I feel overwhelmed by everything I have to do today. Whatever it is, just notice. And the last thing you're going to do is notice your thoughts. Are they moving or are they still? If they're moving, are they moving quickly or slowly? Are your thoughts about the past and the future, or are they about the present moment? Just notice. So doing that, I don't know, if you could do it 3 times a day, would dramatically increase your self-awareness so that when you are having limiting beliefs, you're going to be able to notice like, oh, I wonder if that's true. Oh, I don't feel like I can do that. Or I can't do that. When you hear yourself say, I can't, that's a big one to go, ooh, is that true? Or do I just need to do it differently or whatever? But we're not even talking about questioning it at this point. We're just talking about noticing, oh, wow. Yeah, I believe that. And then what you can start to do as you have awareness of these limiting beliefs is question, is that true? Now, here's the thing. A party might be like, yep, it's true. I can't focus, Jen. I can't do stuff, whatever. I got 2 things to say to that. One, how's that working for you? Is believing that helping you be more productive and get the things done you need to make a living in your business? And 2, is it true 100% of the time? Is it true that you never get anything done ever? And I have to challenge you here because chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you got yourself to listen. If you got out of bed this morning, you got out of bed. If you brushed your teeth this morning, you brushed your teeth. So it's not that you can't do anything. It's just that sometimes it's more challenging. So you want to start to challenge those kind of limiting beliefs. And just like I just did, you want to look for the evidence that the belief isn't always true. Because if you think about it, like I said, how's that working for you? How does it feel to believe that you can't get anything done? I don't know about you, but it feels pretty crappy to me if I were to believe that. It feels like a feeling of helplessness. And that feels awful. So instead, we can start to poke holes in that belief and look for the evidence that's not always true. Maybe it's not even true ever. Sometimes it's true, but maybe not. Today, we've talked about the big thing that's going to help you get stuff done with ADHD. And yes, the tools and strategies, finding unique ones that work for you and helping to tailor them to you is really important. And none of that's going to work until you can notice your limiting beliefs and address them. If you're not already, I would love if you followed this podcast and even leave a comment, like drop a comment in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you and see how this landed. If you're a woman with ADHD and you identify as an entrepreneur or a small business owner, maybe you're trying to get your business started, but you're struggling to really get going or prioritize it or to even make money in it, being able to serve as many people as you want to, then I have a special treat. I'm super excited to announce the launch of my secret podcast series that launches on Monday, August 20th. It's the Neurofabulous Entrepreneur, Unleashing Your Inner Power. And what we'll focus on is helping you get past some of these limiting beliefs as well as address other stuck points to really help you thrive in your business and in life. So every day we'll drop an episode of this secret podcast series, and I'll be offering home practice activities like a little mini workbook each day for you to do some reflection, along with an exclusive Facebook group so we can all connect as we're working through it together. And you'll be able to connect with me. And if there's common questions people have, I intend to go live in the group to share additional content. So if this sounds right up your alley and you're like, yes, Jen, I'm in, make sure you check the link in the show notes and get signed up today. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Take care.